This is Bryce on BYU. Oh my gosh. What did I just watch? I'm speechless. Um let's just, it's just instant reaction time. This isn't I'm going to organize a whole thing like I've done in a lot of the games past, especially when we've had, a couple touchdown lead kind of at the end of the game sort of thing to kind of relax and have thoughts and whatever. This is instant reaction. So, that last drive where it looked like BYU took a tackle on fourth down and it looked like the game was over, but then all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I need to push myself to do the podcast because like there's every part of me that did not want to do the podcast because I didn't want to come out and be like, we lost, it sucks, whatever. And all of a sudden I hear you hear that and you're like, oh my gosh, the game's over, whatever. And all of a sudden you hear I can't remember if it was Brock or if it was the other commentator who was like, oh wait, looks like there's a penalty marker down on the field, and I think this is going against Utah. And I was like, no. And so all of a sudden the game was still going. It went from, oh well, it's over, to, oh my gosh, this game is still going. And then all of a sudden Red Sox making some plays. They get in a field goal range, and once we were in field goal range, I was like, okay, we can win this. But I was still nervous because there's just been some years in the past where BYU field goals against Utah, even with a guy who is as sure-footed as Will Farron. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a controversial ending. I know there's going to be a lot of Utah fans out there who are going to say, was that really a holding call? I think the call was good, and I was discussing this with one of my mission companions who's a Utah fan, and I said, it looked like the right call, and it looked like the call was made definitely very independent of what was going on for BYU. It wasn't like we should extend this. It was definitely just a call made to be the right call. But definitely what a penalty to be called by the referees in that moment. But BYU able to execute there on that last drive once they got that penalty, they're able to execute well enough to get the field goal and to not give Utah enough time to win the game. And just, oh my gosh, so many emotions. I was not ready. I mean, there was so much of that game. I felt like in a lot of ways, and one of my, like I said, the same guy I was talking with, my mission companion, his name's Scott. It felt like Witt did a lot of what he often does, which is instead of putting more points on the board, instead of pushing the offense to put the game just out of reach, he took time off the clock. He was trying to chip away and trying to make sure that BYU just had no air to breathe in terms of, they had that one drive basically in which they could drive. They had like one offensive drive, I think, once, and once they missed that, it was like there was basically very little room for error. But he felt like Utah should have just put the game out of hand, and wow. Just what a way to end it. Will Farron, what ice in his veins. I mean, that is not an easy moment. Not in that stadium. Rice Eccles Stadium has to be one of the toughest places to play in. It is so loud there. I wasn't at the game tonight, but wow. They really do put a good energy into being behind their team. And I will say this for Utah fans. Your offense looks so much better today. And I think there's a solid chance that Utah could, at the very least, be competitive in the rest of their games. I think that if you're a Utah fan, yeah, you've got 3 games to get 2 wins for bowl eligibility. And I think you do it. I think, honestly, Utah might get to 6, maybe even 7 wins. I think they could win out. And, I mean, that's hard to say because Utah does have a tough remainder of their schedule. I just mean, like, it's incredible how tough their schedule gets right here at the end. And, I mean, like, that didn't seem to be the case to start the year. But they've got Colorado, Iowa State, and Central Florida to end the year. And it's going to be a rough one. Especially because going from Iowa State, they have 6 days to get ready for UCF to end the season. So it's going to be definitely a rough time trying for Utah to try to get to 6 wins. My goodness. But now BYU's 9-0. It was sloppy in a lot of ways for BYU for good portions of this game, but I'm not going to complain about that. BYU didn't turn the ball over a lot, but there just wasn't. It was a lot of sputtering as they went along. Utah was able to cover the spread, and oh my goodness, that was the definition of cardiac cougs. And man. Yeah, like I said, I mean, we can definitely go over the stats a bit. Jake Ritzhoff had another game with similar stat line in terms of his yards. He had 15 completions, 219 yards, no touchdowns through the air. He did have his 1 touchdown rush. BYU, I think that was 1 offensive touchdown. Because let's see, they scored, I think. Oh man, yeah, they had the kickoff return for a touchdown. Let's just double check this. But they had the kickoff return for a touchdown. 3 field goals and a touchdown with a failed pass. So 9-7, yeah. Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, no, that's crazy. So, 1 offensive touchdown, and it was a Jake Retzhoff run. And Will Farron just managed BYU to help get BYU through this game. And, oh my goodness, like I said, my heart is like still just going do 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 do. And I am, and Utah, like I said, they had a very good game. Maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit too much. BYU outgained them by 80 yards, 339 to 259. Utah also threw 2 interceptions. That was a big story in this game, was BYU being able to intercept the ball on a couple different plays, and that really helped BYU in some key situations to be able to keep themselves in it and also get some points up on the board. BYU was able to rush for 120 yards. Not great, not terrible. But you know, LJ Martin, another pretty decent game, 11 carries for 68 yards. I think BYU definitely rushed the appropriate amount because you weren't going to be able to challenge Utah much more than you already did across that front, and but BYU is able to put it away, and a win's a win. It was ugly, but a win is a win. BYU now, like I said, stands at 9-0. Kansas looked really good today against Iowa State. They took down Iowa State, and BYU needs to watch out next week. That's going to be a really good game against Kansas. Yeah, Kansas beat Iowa State 45-36. They had a large lead for good portions of that game. BYU's defense needs to sit down and say, this is what we're going to do to manage them and to make sure that they don't beat us. And 9-0. This was definitely not the way I saw this season going. I did not see us even beating Utah this year. This is oh wow, just wow. And yeah, BYU's got 3 games and 3 opportunities to try to make sure that they go for the college football playoff. Like I said, I'm going to be rooting for Utah against Colorado because that would help, especially if Utah beat Colorado and we beat Kansas. That would, I don't know if that would necessarily seal us going to the college football, or not the college football playoff, but the conference championship game or not. But that would definitely put us in a good position overall to have that 2-game lead over multiple teams. It would give you a chance where you would only have to necessarily go 1-1. But yeah, BYU's got a lot of stuff to fix, but we did it. We won the rivalry game, and I'm still just in shock how it all went down. But lots to process this week, and yeah, we turn our attentions towards Kansas. I'm going to be celebrating, obviously, and then, like I said, once we get towards the closer in the week, I'll put out the podcast for the Kansas game, and don't know how many of you guys are still watching or listening out there, but yeah, no, we won. So leave whatever celebratory comments or whatever, negative comments if you're a Utah fan. I'm just happy. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to see what BYU can do from here on out. So, anyways, see you guys. Have a good rest of your week, and enjoy that rivalry week win. And then we move on to Kansas. See you guys.